Hello, stamping friends. My name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today, I have just a couple of tips to share with you when it comes to using your dies and removing the die cut from those dies. Now, often when we are using a simple shape, so in my first example here, I have two dies. These happen to be from the Tasteful Labels die set, which is currently retired, but you may have these set of dies or you may have similar dies. We're talking about squares, rectangles, circles, tag shapes, just very basic shapes. After running these through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you will find that they pop out quite easily with just a little bit of pressure, like so. This one, the same thing, just a little press down in the middle and the die cut pops out. So at this point you're wondering, yes, that is easy. Why do I need this video? Let me show you some of the times that it gets a little bit more complicated. So in this instance, I have a die. This is from the dies that coordinate with Plentiful Plants stamp set. And this is more of a solid type die instead of an outline type die. And sometimes even once you remove it from the paper, the actual die cut is stuck inside the die. So while this is not very scientific, it is quite effective. Just moving this out of the way. You can often take a problematic die cut like this, just drop the die gently on your tabletop or your work surface, and the piece will pop out. So, as I said, not very scientific, and it takes no special qualifications to do that. But simply dropping it will sometimes allow that die cut image to just pop right out. Okay, now sometimes when using something that's even a little bit more intricate. So this is the die that says coffee. It is from the Nothing's Better Than dies. And after removing it from the paper, you can see that the die cut is still stuck in there. So possibly this would work with the drop method, but in the instance that that will not work, all you need to do is just take your pick tool with the pointy end and gently push out the die cut. All right, so as you can see, this has popped out freely now and is ready to use. Now, another word about this particular type of die and take your pick tool is often after die cutting one or more of these images, you'll see that some of these little bits remain stuck in the die. So there are little release holes on the front of the die, and if you simply take your pick tool and pop those out, it will remove those bits from the die, enabling you to continue getting cleaner cuts from that die. All right, so it takes literally just a second or two to do that, even on a quite intricate die. So there we have that one. Now, sometimes we have a die that is quite a bit more detailed and can be a little bit more stubborn to get it out of your die. So this butterfly die is from the Best Butterflies. And after removing it from the paper, you can see that it is nice and stuck in there. There's a couple pieces that popped out naturally as it came out of the machine, and those will just end up on your acrylic plate. But at this stage, you're going to need just another little helpful hint, because if you drop this onto the tabletop and it pops out, guaranteed all those little bits will also be still stuck in there. So your only option at this point to get the best results is to use your take your pick tool and pop through all those little release holes and see how it comes out. Or better yet, this is the time that we reach for a tool that is quite handy. So there is a little sponge mat and either the old die brush that you might already have in your collection. If you do not have this, we currently sell this little brush attachment, and it pops into your take your pick tool. So, other end, sorry. So you're going to remove the putty end of your take your pick tool. and replace it with the die brush, like so. Now, with the die cut still inside the die, I'm going to lay this down on my little foam mat, and I'm just going to scrub it through all those little holes. And what this is doing is it's beginning to work out all those little pieces. Now again, as I'm doing this, totally not necessary on this one, totally not necessary on these. It's only going to be a very delicate, detailed die with lots of pieces and little bits. So I'm going to give that a good rub. I'm even going to move it. Okay, you can see my parts have started to fall out. I'm going to die brush, rolling over it a little bit more, and then we're going to pop this out. All right, so there you can see I've removed all of those little bits. At this point, I can either remove it possibly with the drop method, which that worked. If that had not worked, I could take my take your pick tool and pop it out through the holes. But this has now come out, is very lovely. There's one last little bit that did not pop out, so you can simply remove that as easily as that, and there is our die cut. So as I said, you might find this helpful if you've got a few die cuts that are being stubborn and are staying stuck inside your die. You have a couple of different methods between your take your pick tool, your die brush tool, and also a simple drop it on the desktop method. Hey, thanks for watching today. I appreciate you a lot. Happy stamping.